Thank you so much for joining us on the Camnet TV Breakfast Show on a Thursday, and welcome to it. I'm your host Nelson Zulu, and I'm not alone in the studio. I'm always joined by Miriam Kayamba as we get to delve into the world of politics, policy, and governance, just like that. And one of the greatest questions that we would ask you this morning when we talk about issues relating to politics, governance, is that we've seen remarks from the opposition patriotic front that this current administration that is being led by President Hakainde Hichilema has failed to deliver to the country's desire. And we know that for tomorrow there's a state of the nation addressed by the president on the principles and moral values in as far as how we've gone as a country in ensuring that we implement these. And obviously this comes at a backdrop that we've seen also cases of gender-based violence escalating. We've also seen a number of cases when it comes to issues relating to junkism in our various communities escalating as well. These are some of the topical issues that one might begin to ask questions about. But today we'll be focusing more on what are your expectations ahead of tomorrow's address. And on top of that, do you feel this administration has failed to deliver to the country's need? Those are some of the questions that we're going to be looking at, and we can rest assure you that we've got a fun-packed edition for you on a Thursday. And just to get us started, let's get to look at the health corner and get to have all those healthy tips, because just like they said, a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Let's get to look at the healthy tips, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hi, and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this week we are talking about a condition that we call breast cancer, and we have defined what breast cancer is. We said breast cancer is the cancer that occurs in the breast and usually affects both men and women. And when men have breast cancer, it's more fatal than it is in women. And then we also talked about some of the signs and symptoms, and we say that when you see any changes in the breast, such as one breast being bigger than the other breast, or feeling a mass or a lump in the breast, or if you notice any change in the skin on the breast or in the nipple, if there's any discharge in the nipple, then you'll be able to seek medical attention to be able to check if you have breast cancer. So today I want to know what exactly is done in the hospital, or how is it diagnosed in the hospital, and what is the treatment options for breast cancer. So the diagnosis of breast cancer is made usually on clinical exam. So you first have to examine the patient. So the doctor has to check exactly where the mass is, how big is the mass, and just to check if there's any discharge and any discoloration, and just how it looks like. The other thing that can be done is an ultrasound. Most people would be sent to do an ultrasound to be able to check exactly how the mass looks inside. The other thing that can be done is an MRI to be able to check how the mass is related to other structures in the body. Then usually they would also request for a core needle biopsy, which is a biopsy where a sample is taken from the mass and then it is sent to the lab to be able to get it tested to check what type of cells are in that mass and are they cancerous or not, because sometimes you might just be having a mass in the breast and it's not a cancer. So you might have a benign tumor or a benign mass which is not cancerous in the breast, and so they will need to take a sample to be able to check if it has cancer cells or is it cancerous or not. So these are some of the tests that can be done in the hospital to be able to assess whether you have breast cancer or not. The other thing is that you'll be able to do other tests as well, just to check if there's any metastasis to other organs, if other body parts are affected by the breast cancer in your breast. So how is breast cancer treated? treated? What are some of the other options? What are the options of breast cancer treatment? Now, there are so many ways of treating breast cancer, and depending on your age, depending on the stage of the breast cancer, they would recommend a certain type of treatment to you. But normally the treatment options are that you can do radiotherapy, where you are exposed to radiation to be able to cure those cancer cells or to kill the cancer cells. The other thing is chemotherapy, which they give you some medications that will be able to kill the cancer cells and to shrink the tumor. The other thing that can be given is hormonal therapy, where you are given some hormones that can be able to shrink the tumor as well, and to also reduce the risk of it growing bigger in size. There are other medications as well that are given that are not really chemotherapy or hormone therapy, but they're just some medications that are used for the treatment of breast cancer. The other treatment option is to do an operation, and of course usually the operation would be the end stage. So if you have a breast cancer and you are asked to do a chemo or a radiotherapy, it does not mean that you will not need an operation, because if the tumor is shrunken in size, then they can decide now to operate on it and remove it. So treatment options, these are some of the treatment options for breast cancer, and it will be good to be able to know some of these things, so that if you or your loved ones ever have this condition, you'll be able to ask your doctors or your caregivers to explain to you what exactly is happening and how the treatment of the patient that you are taking care of. So these are some of the ways that you can diagnose breast cancer in the hospital. So today we're talking about diagnosis and treatment, and we say that breast cancer can be diagnosed in the hospital by clinical examination, doing an ultrasound, doing an MRI, and most importantly doing a needle biopsy, where a sample is taken and it's taken to the lab to check if there are any cancer cells. And also we say that treatment includes hormone therapy, chemotherapy, and even radiation therapy, and also surgery as well. So I do hope you have learned something, and make sure you watch again tomorrow, where we'll be talking about how you can prevent yourself from having breast cancer. What are some of the things that you can do to prevent yourself from getting breast cancer? Because yes, you can do certain things at home, and also we want to know exactly how is it that we can take care of our breasts at home. So make sure you watch tomorrow's episode, where we'll be talking about prevention of breast cancer. And if you missed anything here on The Breakfast Show, make sure you watch my YouTube channel, where I post all these videos, and you'll be able to know exactly what you have missed in the past. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nakubiana Mufwa, right there, just giving us insight on the diagnosis as well as treatment of breast cancer. And one might be asking, this is a cancer that is mostly associated with women, and I'm sure that you've learned one or two things when it comes to the treatment of breast cancer, because it is very important that we begin to take care of our health. But without wasting much of the time, let's get to look at the money market and look at how the kwacha is faring against the major convertibles, for we know that there's been some fluctuations that has been experienced for some time now, rather, and then we get to also look at issues or concerns that have been piling up when it comes to the issue of high cost of living, cost of doing business, all these other issues. But let's get to look at the money market. Are we seeing any positivity in terms of things getting any better? Right, let's as you have it on your screen, the United States dollar is buying at 24.47 ngwe and selling at 24.95 ngwe. The euro is buying at 26.76 ngwe, selling at 27.29 ngwe, and the South African rand is buying at 1.31 ngwe and selling at 1.34 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 1.34 0.29 Ngwe and selling at 1/4.91 Ngwe. The update is at exactly 7:24 this morning, and remember that these exchange rates, they vary from one bank to bank, and surprisingly so, one of the major or critical issues that one would focus on is the aspect of the dollar relationship with the kwacha. We've seen that for some time we keep on fluctuating from 23, 24, 25, somewhere there, and one only hopes that we can reach at a point where we stand at 17 kwacha, something like that. But it is an aspect of hoping, because we've been told that everything is going to be worked on. 2024 is a year of economic turnaround, is a year rather of ensuring that things get to be better. But hey, good morning, Madam Miriam Kaimbo.
Good morning, Nelson.
I think it's been a while that I sat on this seat with you.
I'm here with you. We're together.
We're together.
Yeah.
Okay, but how are you feeling this morning?
Well, we keep the positivity. We know we are still having some challenges here and there, but we ensure that we keep the positivity going.
Exactly what I was looking for, the positivity. Yeah, because there's one there outside that might be asking to say, but how do we keep positive? Load shedding, there's a schedule, but they don't follow it in our area.
What I've witnessed is that the timetable released by ZESCO, they do follow the schedule of when power should be cut and when power should come back. Nevertheless, I hear and understand the frustration that a lot of small businesses might have, especially those who own salons in these various communities. I know if you have power, like in my area, that goes from 09 to 17 hours, you get to question yourself how you're going to conduct your business. Again, that really affects you. But anyway, we have seen rather that we are still experiencing some few rains here and there, but we keep the positivity. Like I said, we hope for the best. We hope that maybe in the next 2 months' time we'll be told, okay, we don't have load shedding anymore. I understand that this has been of the result of the poor rainfall that we experienced as a country, and we're talking about nature. There's nothing we can do mostly, but this is something now that we need as a country. We need to shift our minds and not depend on so much on ZESCO. We need to have other mechanisms that we can put in place to ensure that we have power. I understand that a lot of people have been advised now that we should go the solar way, but solar is expensive again. So we need to find other mechanisms that we can put in place. Yeah.
You know what, our viewers, wherever you're watching us from, this lady deserves an accolade. I call her Senior Chief Positivity Lady of Camnet TV, because you'll be in those dying moments where you feel like, okay, I should just give up. She comes with some positivity, some energy. I think that's how it should be. You should find yourself in an environment where you've got people that are able to encourage you, even at a time when you feel like giving up. Right, this is now a segment where we get to zoom in some of the stories that might have been part of the bulletin as of yesterday, and they made headlines, and unfortunately maybe you might have missed, so that we also give you an opportunity for you to give us your insight, to give us your understanding in terms of what you feel should have been the case. But even as we get to do that, be rest assured that what we're looking at this morning is some of your expectations ahead of the SONA tomorrow. That is the State of the Nation address by the Republican President at Parliament buildings, and we'll also get a reaction in terms of the sentiments that have been made by PF Faction Secretary General Raphael Nagachinda that the current administration, the UPND, is actually a mediocre government that has failed to deliver to the expectations of the people. Are you of that view? And you can give us that call on the numbers on your screen, and we'll be glad to hear from you, because we give it all to you so that we get to understand the perspective or the ground where you're standing from. But to get the zooming headline segment started, let's get to look at a story coming through from one of our staffer in Kabwe, where Opposition Patriotic Front, a PF candidate, Wisely Piri, has scooped the Kabwe Municipal Council mayoral seat, beating his closest rival, United Party for National Development UPND candidate Hambo Mudala. The PF candidate poured 15 votes, whilst UPND candidate only managed to score 13 votes. And in a dramatic turn of events, confusion ensued within the chamber during the deliberations of the full council meeting when police partially disrupted the meeting in a bid to apprehend the outgoing Deputy Mayor Kayombo Mihova on allegation that he assaulted one of the named UPND members at Railway Stadium during the Youth Day celebration. Let's get to look at that story and we'll be back on the other side.
The Patriotic Front PF party has scooped Cabo Municipal Council deputy mayoral seat amidst tight security. PF's ward councillor Wesley Perry poured 15 votes against his closest rival, UPND Kalonga ward councillor Hambo Mudala, who poured 13 votes.
Councillor Hambo Mudala has scored a total of 13 votes, and Councillor Wesley Perry has scored a total of 15 votes.
Meanwhile, in a dramatic turn of events, confusion ensued when police officers attempted to apprehend the outgoing Deputy Mayor, Kayombo Mihova, inside the chamber amidst ongoing full council meeting deliberations. This didn't sit well with the Mayor, Patrick Chala, who admonished police officers for disrupting the ongoing full council meeting deliberations.
Can you leave? Can you leave the chamber? Leave the chamber. After everything else, you do what you want to do. For now, let the councillors debate. We have important things to do in the chamber. We want to discuss matters of development for the country of Zambia, for yourself also. So don't disturb the chamber. Officer, I don't want you to be picked by my officers. I'll allow the officers to pick you. From here you can be picked and be locked up.
Kayombo Mihova used the back door to enter the Civic Center building to elude police officers who had mounted a lookout on him. Mr. Mihova has been detained at Choa Police on the allegation that he assaulted one of the UPND supporters at Railway Stadium during Youth Day.
I'm told I kicked somebody and punched them, and they feel assaulted about it. And it is claimed that this happened on Youth Day, right at the gate where everyone else enters from.
The former mining town of Kabwe is well known for its unpredictable political shift. Petronella Msanglude, Camnet News in Kabwe.
That is what transpired as of yesterday in Kabwe, and glad that our reporter, our staffer there, Petronella, was able to give us that piece of a story. And for me,
just tells you that indeed there was a lot of drama that was going on there, and you could see from the mayor himself saying, officer, go, leave the chambers. We're trying to, debate on issues that are of national importance and the development of this country. And if you don't leave, my officers will arrest you.
Because you're also part of development, you're part of this deliberation. Sounds like, okay, wow. Mr. Shishala is so courageous. Yeah, but I hope we also managed to get an update, especially from this story, for we know that the outgoing Deputy Mayor, Mr. Kayombo Mihova, was arrested and detained at Choa Police Station. But we would like to see now, understand, if this case goes further and he's been maybe officially charged, because I'm meant to believe there was no statement whatsoever that was issued, and people the police actually must have maybe acted on,
yes,
on allegations.
On allegations. Anyway,
that had been made.
At the moment, those are allegations until one is taken to court and proven whether to be guilty or not. And we understand that those allegations are coming from the fact that he is alleged to have assaulted a youth during the celebration of the Youth Day that was falling on the 12th of March 2024. And talking about youth, we did see a story where a clergyman from Global World of Life Pentecost Assemblies has urged government and the private sector to create an environment that aims at ensuring young people identify their purpose at a tender age. Let's get to look at that interesting story, as well as back-to-back with a story where Chikondi Foundation President Bishop John Mambo has urged the church to actively influence the development of young individuals in the nation.
About 65% of Zambia's population of 19,610,769 comprises youths who, among other things, face socio-economic challenges such as access to education, lack of skills to access decent job opportunities and unemployment, despite initiatives by the government such as the Youth Empowerment Program, among others. With the prevailing economic situation in the country, youths are no exception, and on 12 March 2024 celebrated the National Youth Day under the theme Zambia at 60, Be the Change. In light of the Youth Day celebrations, a clergy from Global Word of Life Pentecostal Assemblies has advised the government and its partners to create an environment that aims at ensuring young people identify their purpose at a tender age. Bishop David Miti observes that while the country continues to celebrate youths, it is important to ensure they identify their purpose for them to contribute to national development.
And the one who knows why we are still living, which means he has our human answers even today. When we understand the purpose from the angle of God, or from the divine purpose, which means we're going to know that things will become so easy in our lives. Proverbs 19, verse 21. The Bible reads, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Many are the plans in our hearts. Because of not understanding principles and values and why we live and the purpose, even today the world has struggled to produce leaders who are responsible. The only thing that the world who are going to produce today, we are good at producing not leaders who are responsible, but leaders who are liars.
The youths from the church, while highlighting the importance of belonging to a religion, are calling for actions in communities aimed at addressing peer pressure and drug abuse, among other vices, to protect the future generation.
Corrupts good morals. So choose the people you mingle with, for they will either build you or destroy you. And as a youth, we are only here to be built. That's our goal. Secondly, also participating in activities. As a youth of Global Word of Life Pentecostal Assemblies, I am expected to participate in activities such as being responsible as a youth here in church and at home. For they say charity begins at home.
They should be ambitious enough to know they can be anything they want to be and be good leaders in the society. They should be humble enough to take responsibility of what they do and never give up even when things won't go their way. I'd like to encourage them.
I'd like to urge other youths as well to come at our church to learn more about the values of life and the principles of life as we live our youth.
A youth is simply a person with unused potential. A youth must know the purpose why they are living, and one must have values and principles so that they may lead as an example to the society.
Just like the saying, the future of a nation rests on the shoulders of its youths, the importance of investing in young people for a brighter future cannot be underrated.
Not knowing that communication is also important.
For we are the future leaders of tomorrow.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
If someone is failing to love and forgive.
The happenings currently is not helping us as a country. Moving forward, these are future leaders. Whether we like it or not, we're in our last days. What Zambia are we visualizing? If at all our youth are involved in what we call now our own children majangs. We call our own children bearing kids in the streets and all that. And alcohol is on top of everything. The rate of divorce is quite high. It is very important that as the board of government, we shouldn't blame government all the time. The role of the church is a light on top of the mountain. It's a salt of a given country. And Zambia being declared a Christian nation, me, I'm looking for a day when the mindset will change. Blame the church, not the politician, whether in power or in opposition. Because these are our members. The president is our member. The ministers are our members. The opposition are our own members and so forth. Why did we tell them in our upper room when we called them and said, this thing is not helping our country. We live in a peaceful country.
Indeed, we need to ensure that we invest in our youths and create an environment that is conducive for them to thrive and ensure that, you know, they become the better leaders of tomorrow. Indeed, I understand that even Bishop John Mambo there did, you know, express concern about the negative labeling of youths, some youths as junkies. In as much as it might be bad, again, we need to understand one thing, that, you know, there are some youths who have just gone beyond uncontrollably. Hence, you know, I would, you know, in my humble opinion, I would recommend the government, you know, to put up more rehabilitation centers in our various communities to ensure that, you know, counseling is offered to these young people, because we have seen that a lot of young people in our communities are so much into abusing, you know, various substances, talking about alcohol and drugs, and, you know, they turn up to be these junkies now who are, you know, attacking people at night. We did see the day before yesterday where the police in Chawama arrested a 24-year-old young man of Lusaga's Chawama compound who is alleged to be a leader of a notorious gang, and we're talking about someone who is 24. Okay. Yeah, so we need to have these centers that can offer counseling to our young people and ensure that, you know, they grow up in a manner where they can actively participate in the development of this nation, rather than, you know, staying up there and abuse these substance, drugs, alcohol, which is very sad for them, because 5 years from now, Nelson, we are going to have a country that is going to be full of zombies. And not youth who can, you know, put up debates which are of national importance.
Full of zombies indeed. But in case if you're joining us, this is when you are coming through to join Camnet TV Breakfast Show on a Thursday. Remember that we're discussing some of your expectations. What do you expect to be the outcome ahead of the SONA tomorrow? And someone might be asking, what is a SONA? A SONA is the State of the Nation address that is going to be given by the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema as of tomorrow, Friday, at Parliament Building. And aside from that, also we get to look at sentiments that were issued by the Opposition Patriotic Front Secretary General Raphael Nakachinda, who did indicate that the current administration has failed to deliver to the needs of the people. Do you feel the current administration has failed to deliver? You can pick up that number scrolling on your screen and give us that phone call. We'll be glad to hear from you, or better still, utilize our Facebook platform to give us your comment, because we'd like to get to get feedback from you or hear from you. And just talking about issues relating to the PF rather, indicating that this current administration has failed, let's get to look at that story. As the Lusaka Magistrate Court has denied an application from former First Lady Esther Lungu's lawyer seeking to make a preliminary inquiry on whether a witness committed perjury or contempt of court for failing to comply with a court order. This is after the matter came up for continuation of cross-examination before Magistrate Mbuyuana Simvula Wednesday, and later discovered that the state witness Elizabeth Piri had not brought her patient books for the period 2019 to 2023 as requested by the court during the last sitting. While in solidarity for the former First Lady, Patriotic Front Faction Secretary General Raphael Nakachinda described the UPND administration as mediocre and failures. Mr. Nakachinda alleges that the current administration has not lived to its promises. We also get to look at a story where Socialist Party youths have charged that there is nothing new from President Hakainde Hichilema's Youth Day speech except continued failed promises. Another story also that is of importance as of this morning is one story that has to talk about procurement. And when we talk about stories relating to procurement, what I marry it to most of the times are cases that are before court, such as that relating to the procurement of the presidential Gulfstream jet, and others also relating to the 50 ambulances that were procured at the Ministry of Health, and any other stories that might be also be before the courts of law. And talking about procurement also is a story from the Consumer Unit Trust Society, CUTS, who has launched a procurement monitoring toolkit aimed at strengthening oversight and advocacy on public procurement in the education sector. CUTS International Lusaka board member Sajeev Nair says procurement accounts for a significant portion of Zambia's gross domestic product. Hence, it must be discussed to promote prudent public finance management. Let's get to look at those two stories, and we'll be back on the other side, as we also hope to pick phone calls or as well as comments on our Facebook platform from you, our viewers.
Continuously containing our members and our cadres not to retaliate. But I can assure you, if we decided to conduct the politics they were conducting when they were in opposition by encouraging their members to fight, UPND Nabachepa, we can thrash them and deal with them to pulp. But as Patriotic Front, we have chosen to advocate for coexistence. The UPND must exist as a political party. Let their performance speak for them. And so far their performance has spoken to the effect that this is a mediocre government with a mediocre leadership that has failed the Zambian people. That is enough license for them to be removed out of government. We don't need violence. But as it were, they beat up our people in Lusaka, in Chongwe, in Chipata, in Northern Province, on the Copper Belt, and Misaka in the Ichrema. The violence that we perpetuated in 2021 with the support of foreign entities will not work in 2026.
It was a reminder yet again of our young people who were, cheated that when in government, this president was going to prioritize issues of supporting small businesses. He promised that they will no longer be taking the young people on the copper belt as gerabos, and that they will be supported in terms of giving them licenses, mining equipment, utensils, and all the needed necessary requirements. Today as we speak, it's months plus. Our colleagues in Chingola are rotting. They died because of a failed promise. In short, this government's failure to fulfill its campaign promise caused that death, and our young people died. This government killed those young people by failing to fulfill their promise. So if they say we should take advantage of opportunities, which other opportunities should we as young people take advantage of? If the opportunities that are there, they have failed to create an enabling environment for us to thrive.
The procurement function is cardinal to run government, as it enables it to acquire services and products for service delivery to citizens. In Zambia, the Zambia Public Procurement Authority, ZPPA, established by the Public Procurement Act of 2020, provides for regulation of procurement processes. Despite the law providing guidance on procurement, lapses in the sector continue to manifest. It is for this reason that the Consumer Unit Trust Society, CUTS International Lusaka, under the Enhanced Oversight and Monitoring of Public Procurement in Zambia's Education Sector project, has launched a procurement monitoring toolkit aimed at strengthening oversight and advocacy on public procurement in the education sector. Speaking during the launch and opening of a capacity building workshop on public procurement, CUTS board member Sajeev Nair said with government introducing free education, discussing procurement issues become of particular importance as they border on prudent public service management.
And those colleagues, those who are working in the field, they do a budget monitoring also. But then at the end of the day, it is not complete unless we look at the procurement, because that resources which are allocated for education, health, and various other sectors, you need to see how those money is being utilized. And this is an aspect of value for money. from a consumer perspective, we always believe that value for money is crucial.
Officiating as guest of honor ZPPA Director General Ida Chira through a representative, Wenzi Churukutu called for more advocacy on measures that bring about prudent procurement in the country.
As highlighted in reports by the Auditor General, the Finance Intelligence Center, who I'm glad are present today, instances of procurement irregularities and mismanagement underscore the urgency of enhancing oversight and transparency in the public procurement process. Effective public procurement not only ensures value for money, but also fosters economic growth and investment.
And CAS Programs Officer Allen Chitwamali shares more details about the project and its scope.
The project is being implemented in Lusaka, in Iteji and Kabwe, which are areas that have been highlighted in the Auditor General report as having those issues within public procurement. So what we're trying to do is engage public to ensure that they are aware of how it is that they can track different procurement projects, the processes, and that is where the toolkit that we've designed comes in.
The enhanced oversight and monitoring of public procurement in Zambia's education sector project falls under the ENACT project funded by the GIZ and the European Union, EU. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Those are some of the stories that were part of yesterday's bulletin, and we ask that question to you. Do you feel the current administration has failed, as alleged by Raphael Nakachinda, that it is a government of failure? Those are some of the allegations that have been leveled, and I'm sure we shall have a response come this evening, because Minister of Information and Media is expected to also address the media during the day.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to what government is going to say. Not only that, there are a lot of things that are going on in our country, and a lot of people expect an update from the government. I know the President is expected to address the nation on the application of national values and principles tomorrow, Friday. I'm sure this will be in relation, much talked about, looking at the GBV cases that we continue to record as a country, and so on and so forth. Regardless of that, Nelson, indeed, it is a good thing that we should be on time to time receiving an update from the government. I know that the opposition are also there to offer their necessary checks and balance, but this shouldn't be just negatives all the time. We expect politics, like I have been always saying, these Zambians have already moved away from politics that of character assassination. Zambians have moved away from politics that are based on petty issues. Zambians want, politics that will be able to develop the nation. Let's talk about how we can build something, okay, that will be able, to help young people in our society develop. Let's talk about, bringing industries in our own country. I know Zambia was doing so well back in the 90s when it comes to industrialization, but we no longer see that nowadays. We have seen a lot of mushrooming of shopping malls. So we need to start talking about how we can revamp our industries in the country. Apart from, I know much emphasis has been put on the agriculture sector, which is a very good thing, but we should also look at on other sectors how we can develop as a country. And I know that a lot of people, as the chief government spokesperson, gets to address the media this afternoon, a lot of people would also want to see what, things are being put in place. I know they've already spoke about this, but what things that government has continued to put in place when it comes to ensuring that we address the high cost of living, because this is something that, a lot of people continue to complain day by day. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I think you've already put it right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to a time when Zambian politics will just have a shift where opposition political parties are not just shooting down on government, but also laying down some of the solutions that they feel would be part of solving the problem, and like creating or making look like the problem is very huge to some extent, like we've seen in some, in some.
Sometimes, you know, what politics does most of the times is that even a minor things, you want to politicize it and make it look so huge, when in fact that is not even the case. But the concern is, if every time we keep on doing such politics, at the end of the day, we are looking at the development of our own country, Zambia. Are we going to develop it? The answer is no. So we need to have that mindset, you know, change, the shift of change on how we do our politics, so that we can ensure that 10 years from now, we're going to say, okay, this is the Zambia that we want, this is how we want the Zambia to go. We're talking about, you know, achieving the goal 2030 of becoming a middle-income, prosperous country, but with how things are moving, are we able to see that?
And of course, in that we can ask and
exactly.
Let's look at some of the stories that you have.
One interesting story that we saw from the court yesterday, we saw the Lusaka subordinate court in Lusaka convicting and sentencing former President Edgar Lungu's press aide Amos Chanda, his wife and sister-in-law, to 7 months jail for obstructing Anti-Corruption Commission officers from conducting their duty during an investigation. In passing judgment, Ndola Chief Resident Magistrate Dominic Makalicha, who sat at the magistrate court, sentenced the trio to 7 months simple imprisonment after establishing that the state had proved the case against them beyond reasonable doubt. Let's get to look at this interesting story. And you were at the court yesterday. I understand that the magistrate also slapped a fine on the trio for 130 kwacha for insulting SEC officers while they were conducting investigation at the residence of the former president. Let's talk about how the mood was when this sentence was being passed at the court yesterday.
Well, I can safely confirm that, okay, the mood was really high, in the sense that everybody wanted to have an understanding of how is the sentencing going to be. I remember having a conversation with one of the lawyers outside before the proceedings even started. They were saying, okay, I'm looking forward to how this case is going to be handled, because it is an interesting case, so to speak, because we're seeing a person that at some point held the position of presidential spokesperson, facing charges of insulting as well as obstructing officers of the law. And one would also ask questions to say, this is an individual that was so close to the president and obviously understands how the civil service works and has a great understanding of how things should be done.
Especially in terms of adhering to the laws.
Exactly. And those are some of the things. And you may wish to know that they are facing three charges. That is, in count 1 and 2, it was using insulting language against SEC officers when they went to conduct an investigation. That was in October on the 27th, 2022, somewhere there. And this is contrary to actually section 179 of the Penal Code, where now, if you look at the maximum sentence, is a fine or both. And if not a fine or both, the maximum sentence that one is supposed to receive is 3 months imprisonment. And we saw that to these 2 counts of using insulting language against these SEC officers were given a fine of 135 kwacha each that should be paid before Friday, which is tomorrow. And then we looked at now the aspect of obstructing SEC officers in their conduct of duty. This is also prescribed under the Anti-Corruption Act number 10 of 2010 and Act number 3 rather of 2010, where the maximum sentence should be 3 years. Yeah.
And one other thing, when this case started in 2021, during the proceedings, I remember, covering one of the Anti-Corruption Commission officers, female officers, who were at the scene when this alleged offense, when this offense occurred. And during a testimony, she said something that left a lot of talks among the people, as well as on Facebook, on social media. She, during her testimony, she said, you know, when they went to do their search, their investigations, they were allegedly told, you know, some ceremonies they need to do, the process, they don't need to walk straight when entering this room, they need to go backward. There were a lot of, you know, testimony that came out, but all in all, we know that a lot of people were having question on the outcome, how this case will come about. And
one thing I can also confirm is that Chief Resident Magistrate of Ndola, who is formerly Chief Resident Magistrate of Lusaka, now transferred to Ndola, did express displeasure that, look...
Anyway, before you finish your thought, hello, good morning. Oh, we seem to lose that caller. Please do call us back so that we can get interacted this morning.
Yeah, Dominic Makalisha expressed displeasure to say, look, there's some certain words that I don't even know. I'm hearing them for the first time. And these are huge insults that were showered on officers of the law. How do we lead a country like that? And what would happen if you as an individual served at some point as presidential spokesperson is behaving in such a manner?
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, everybody. Wino mwishani.
Mabuka tumino.
Mkwai.
Chawa maneno fikara na chimbola kuno.
Mkwai bachingola.
Mkwai. Nasi konkeria na tampra siya sabana kachinda. Bukana kachinda wali mbali mbali. Brando wa branda maba kura abashte waka kisu. If something you go somewhere, you can be a fantasy. I don't know what they kill us straight, they say, no, each every without going to school. And I want to grow the camera that is cozy. By the camera that was the national without Havana, Pambo and Yapatri. You can see that the way they are on Havana is Rambo is wider. That's why they give material junkies, Papapola, about 10 years, our more cases because Havana is never take over to their Bushka. The dance of the fuck in there. But you can't find a chain, I'm going to like it. Opening the community, Jeremy, he gets education. Knowledge is power. Without knowledge, you move on the country. Politics is there on a generalist. It goes little knowledge you belong to school. And you have that knowledge. That's why you are there today. If I thought that now they don't care what they push forward for their authority, they would be not like the other treaty. I thank you, I don't care.
I'm quite to tell an FON. Yeah. Quite a good submission, if you ask me, but I would dwell on the things that I know. I was at court. Dominic Makalicha asked a question to say, how would a villager now respond if an investigation was being conducted by SEC officers?
I really understand that these insults were
huge.
Were made in Bemba?
In Bemba, and yes. He would use the same language.
And I understand you can't say them here.
I can't say them. I would use the same language in court and then translate it in English and like, wow, okay, that happens.
Yeah, because it's procedure. They need to translate for the magistrate to understand what exactly was said, so that, you know, at the end of the day they can make a very.
Anyway, let's get to pick this call. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning. Hello.
We're able to get you loud and clear. Your name and where you're calling us from? Amashina tuwa nani? Mkwai.
Okay, the network seems to be bad. please do call us back so that we can get interacted. And when you call us, just ensure that you reduce the volume on your TV set so that we don't get feedback. Yeah. Nelson with the shocking.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked. I was well busy getting my notes there in court. I was like, okay, wow. So that happens in life. But for me, even after submission.
But after one thing that I know the viewers are eager to find out is after the submissions, after the judgment was delivered by the Ndola Chief Resident Magistrate who sat at the magistrate court yesterday, from the lawyers, from the convicts' lawyers, was there any chance did they indicate that they're going to appeal this judgment?
Well, from the lawyers of the convicts, it is safe for now to indicate that there was no chance of appealing, because it seemed to them, it seems to have been
a
fair judgment in the sense that I remember in mitigation they did beg for the court lenience that look, these are first offenders, and the law prescribes that first offenders some sort of lenience that is shown to them, and on top of that, these are parents, so for the sake of their kids, let's also be lenient in terms of a sentence that will be given to them, where they also pleaded that let it maybe be a custodial sentence, so that it sets as an example to people out there that disturbing or obstructing officers of the law is actually illegal and unlawful, that can land you in problems.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
Okay, Mr. Simon, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, can I say what I want to say?
Please go ahead.
Okay.
We can clearly get you. Please go ahead.
Okay.
So, our policy is better awareness. So if we talk about better things, let's just be centered on the same things that say I is one activity. One on the other hand, they're doing the same thing again, carrying down him. So that one is your concern, property. I'm position. There are people up more than more. That the party is just more political parties. Like that's in my view. But yet, they are not party around the area. They are start doing by the just that problem. Hello?
I'm quite Simon. To learn for?
So, the problem is that the interview that whatever the other problem, they are not about what to talk about. They are not listening. They just have their own station that they are too fast, but that's what people are going through, they don't have.
Okay.
So, she is the
Toto tell about Toto tell our Simon for that contribution. Okay, that was submission by Mr. Simon. He was, I think, relating his submission to what is alleged to have transpired in Chongwe, where it is alleged that there was a clash between the UPND youths, the PF, as well as those of the socialists. So he was now attaching issues relating to how far we've gone as a country, if we've made progress. under this current administration. But hey, you were talking about that court story. I'm sure it's ready by now.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to look at this court story where the court yesterday did sentence former presidential press aide under the Patriotic Front administration, Mr. Amos Chanda, his wife and sister-in-law, to 7 months imprisonment.
Obstruction and insulting of officers at the Anti-Corruption Commission, SEC, while in their line of duty, has landed former President Edgar Lungu's Special Assistant for Press and Public Relations, Amos Chanda, his wife Mibona Kaundi, and sister-in-law Ruth Nakaundi in the walls of prison for 7 months and a 135 kwacha fine each, delivering judgment Wednesday after it was deferred from Monday, December 18, 2023. Ndola Chief Resident Magistrate sitting in Lusaka, Dominic Makalicha, fined the trio 135 kwacha each for 2 counts of using insulting language on Anti-Corruption Commission officers on October 27th, 2021, when the officers were executing their duties, a conduct likely to give provocation to the named officers to cause them to break the peace or commit an offense. Magistrate Makalicha also found Mr. Chanda 50, his wife Mebona Kaundi 48, and his sister-in-law Ruth Nakaundi 37, guilty of obstructing the officers from the Anti-Corruption Commission SEC on October 27, 2021, and delayed the officers in the lawful exercise of their duty to search house number 67 in Lusaka's Woodlands area when they stated that the keys to the bedrooms were with another person purported to have traveled out of town when in fact not. Before sentencing the trio to 7 months simple imprisonment, Magistrate Makalicha expressed displeasure that Mr. Chanda, having served at one of the highest positions in the civil service, resorted to such behavior, wondering how residents in villages would act before officers ordered by the courts of law, and was convinced that the 7 months slapped on the 3 convicts would set as an example to would-be offenders and respect officers directed by the law. The Anti-Corruption Commission officers established to have been insulted and obstructed are Mbonyiwe Ndalameta, Lutumezi Billy, Nita Kofikisa, Sweetian Lusaka, Christopher Siwakwi, Friday Tembo, William Chilufya, and Clement Chanda while discharging their duty. However, in mitigation, the convict, through the defense lawyer Timi Unalula, pleaded for lenience or a custodial sentence to be meted as the convicts are first offenders and are parents. In response, Magistrate Makalicha heard the plea but indicated that the actions of the convicts were very wrong because the officers did not do the work as individuals but under the order of the court through a search warrant and were respectable persons which should have not been showered with insults at the expense of conducting their duty, especially from an individual who understands the role of SEC better. The convicts start their new journey of life in prison for 7 months, effective Wednesday, 13 March 2024. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it. That was a story coming all the way from court where the former presidential spokesperson, Mr. Amos Chanda, his wife and sister-in-law were sentenced yesterday to 7 months simple imprisonment by the Lusaka Magistrate Court. This is in relation to the offense they were charged in 2021 for obstructing SEC officers when they went to conduct an investigation at their residence. The trio were also slapped with a fine of 135 kwacha each for using insulting language against the said SEC officers who had gone to conduct a search at their residence in 2021. But anyway, I think this is where we call it a day. Nelson, why are you checking your watch?
I'm looking at the time because today is a busy day. We've got a couple of meetings that we need to attend to, and these meetings are of serious interest, serious national interest, I would say. That even as we get to close, let's get to close with a story from the Minister of Education, Douglas Yakalimau, says teachers who are blacklisted for forgery will not be pardoned or given chances. Speaking during Parliament proceedings yesterday when asked by an Akonde Member of Parliament, Lucas Simumba, whether government has plans to reconsider pardoning the 83 teachers who are blacklisted for fraudulent cases. Mr. Syakalima emphasized that forgery is contrary to the laws of Zambia and punishable by law, and disclosed that the said teachers will serve as examples to others. And be rest assured to join Joe Capello Simata this afternoon as he gets to delve into the lunchtime cafe, and better still also get to look forward as to what content he has for you. And tomorrow it is always about business, as Friday we focus on business and delve into all those issues. And tomorrow also the world is going to be celebrating the World Consumer Day, where you as consumers out there and myself are always celebrated and looked at when we look at issues relating to consumer rights. It's very important also that we get to delve into all those conversations in terms of what do we really need to do as consumers ourselves, what do we need to know. But Afias Kaptula and Joe Capello Simata, I know they will be able to do justice to that edition tomorrow. But from me, Nelson Zulu, and Miriam Kayemba, we call it a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to Camnet TV. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Not just another channel. And enjoy the rest of the day.
If so, when the affected teachers will be pardoned and given a second chance in life. And D, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, 83 teachers were blacklisted for being in possession of forged Grade 12 certificates countrywide in 2018. The House may wish to note that no teacher was blacklisted for being in possession of forged Grade 12 certificates countrywide in 2019, 2020, and 2021. B, the government has no intention or no plans to pardon the affected teachers, including those who were employed on genuine certificates but forged certificates while seeking promotion. However, Regulation 3.5.3 of Teacher Registration Government Gazette Notice Number 1203 of 2019 provides for a person whose application has been rejected on the basis of fraudulent qualifications to reapply after being banned and having served the 3-year ban. C, due to the response in Part B, Part C falls off